Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, My Loverlies. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I am so happy you found me. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least where makeup's concerned, and definitely when that makeup is cheap. Today is True Love Tuesday. We are here for yet another epic love story. This one, however, is just a little different. Very, very trendy as well. We're talking about Miss Ariana Grande today. Before we get started, a very special, very warm welcome to any of those that are new to my channel. I am so incredibly happy that you are here. If you enjoy the content, I do so hope that you will mash that thumbs up button. I hope that you will subscribe if you have not already. And I hope that you will ring my bell, turn on your notifications, so that way, next time I upload a video, you can come right back here and we can hang out together again. Also, my eyes are already done. So in love with them. I'm not going to talk about the palette that I used. I'm testing out a new brand, but I did make sure to film a TikTok on today's eye look if you're interested. I will make sure to have the tags for that, as well as all of my other socials, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, listed in the description box below. Guys, if you are not following me on all my other socials, you definitely should go do that. I post fun content every single day, and if you're following me everywhere, you don't have to worry about missing a single moment of it. Guys, as always, I'm not going to talk too much about the makeup that I'm using during today's video, but of course, if you have any questions about what I'm using or how I'm using it, all you have to do is leave me a comment and I will get back to you. Also, I will make sure to put a full list of all the products in the description box as well. Guys, with all of that out of the way, let's dive in to this very interesting story. If you see me looking over in this direction, it is because I am looking at my notes. There are quite a few of them for today's video, so I'm assuming we're going to be here for at least a little while. We usually are for True Love Tuesday. So I hope that you will sit back, relax, get comfy, get cozy, and let's discuss Miss Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande is arguably one of the most successful pop artists of my generation. She's incredibly beautiful, she's wealthy, she's talented, she's influential, she's powerful. She has all of the things that most of us will only ever be able to dream about. So why then does she find or feel the need to make certain choices that she's made recently? Ariana has been in the entertainment business since she was very, very young. I think she started when she was around, I want to say 8 or 9 years old. So because of that, she spent most of her life in the public eye. She's incredibly famous, and with that comes quite a bit of scrutiny. She's supposed to be a leader, she's supposed to be a role model, and because of recent choices she's made, it's made people question her moral compass, her code of ethics. Like, why does she feel like it's okay for her to just do whatever she wants to do? And that's what it seems like. Recently, her give a crap has just busted. She does exactly what she wants to do and doesn't care who she hurts along the way. Because of this, opinions of her right now are incredibly polarizing. You either really love her and you stand with her, or you can't stand her. People right now are calling her a homewrecker. They're calling her a man-eater, just kind of dragging her name through the mud. So I thought it would be a perfect time to really do a little bit of a deep dive into her past relationships and see, is there actually a pattern here? Is this the first time she's done this? Like, what's really going on here? As always, we're going to start from the very beginning and work our way forward to the present. Now, Ariana was born in Boca Raton, Florida. Ariana Grande Butera. She was born on June 26, 1993. She is the daughter of Joan Grande, who is a Brooklyn-born CEO. She is the CEO of a company called House McMahon Communications. Now, what they do is manufacture communications and safety equipment. On the other side, Ariana's father, his name is Edward Butera, and he is the owner of his own graphic designs firm, also located in Boca Raton, Florida. Her father is independently wealthy, While her mother comes from older money, their family just in general is incredibly wealthy. So it's very safe to say that Ariana was born with a little bit of a silver spoon in her mouth. It is also very safe to say that she has never experienced scarcity. She has never experienced poverty. And because of this, it could kind of contribute to her feelings of entitlement and selfishness. Ariana has one sibling, an older half-brother named Frankie on her mother's side, and then her parents sadly divorced when she was around 8 or 9 years old. Now, from a very, very young age, Ariana has enjoyed being the center of attention. She would perform at school functions, she would perform at family functions, things like that. She even went so far as to perform in front of an entire stadium full of people at 8 years old. She sang the Star-Spangled Banner at the Panthers home game against the Chicago Blackhawks on January 16th, 2002. Now, in addition to her love of music, she also has a passion for theater, and she's also been performing in plays almost as long, if not longer, than she's been singing. When Ariana was younger, her mother would actually use her influence and pull some strings and would get her daughter gigs. She got her gigs singing in karaoke lounges, on cruise ships. She also got her opportunities to sing with different orchestras, like the South Florida's Philharmonic and the Florida Sunshine Pops. And though theater was still Ariana's main passion, at age 13 she started to really get serious about the music side of things, and that was when she decided that come heck or high water she was going to record an R&B album. In 2008, she was cast in her very first Broadway production, and she was cast as cheerleader Charlotte in the play 13. The next year, in 2009, she was cast in her very first TV show, and she was actually cast in the show Victorious on Nickelodeon. And I know we all remember Victorious. I remember watching it when I was a wee little thing. Super good show. She played the not quite all there, not super bright or intelligent. I think her name was Kat Valentine, and she dyed her hair bright red for that. Actually, she ended up having to dye her hair every week and a half, 2 weeks, and it genuinely fried her hair, and that was why the high ponytail became her signature look, because her hair was so fried. She would have to put extensions in because to hide the absolute mess that was her natural hair. Her role on that show is really what propelled her pretty much to teen idol status, but she wanted more. Of course, we all always want more. She wanted a music career, saying that acting was fun, but music has always been her first and foremost, her number one priority. Well, she certainly got what she asked for. She began working on her debut album in August of 2010, and then by December 2011, released her very first single, Put Your Hearts Up. Now, though this single went to, I think it got gold status, something like that, she doesn't really acknowledge it because it wasn't up to her artistic snuff. So she went back to the drawing board and she tried again. It wasn't until 2013 that Ariana would be fully recognized as a legitimate musician. Her debut studio album, Yours Truly, we all remember that one, was released on August 30th, 2013, and debuted at number 1. She hasn't stopped making hits since. To this point, she's released 7 studio albums, 55 singles. She's won countless awards, including 2 Grammys. She's got 9 MTV Video Music Awards. And did you know that she holds 35 Guinness World Records? Because I certainly didn't. As talented as she is, Ariana is no stranger to controversy. I think it's kind of to be expected, especially when you're growing up in the public eye and you're growing up with cameras in your face. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes when we're kids, and life is in general just a learning experience. I think for her it was a little bit worse just because she grew up with a camera in her face, so every mistake she made was just a little bit more amplified. But the first controversy I really think about when I think about Ariana is I remember the donut scandal. Do you guys remember that? I remember seeing that and thinking, oh my god, what an awful awful thing to do. She was caught, and I think at the time she was with one of her boyfriends. I think his name was Ricky something. So they go to this donut shop in California, and they're ordering some donuts, just doing a normal kind of kid thing, right? She's 22 at this point in time. They're ordering donuts. The cashier person, the person at the counter, goes and leaves to check on something really quickly, and then Ariana, she picks up all these donuts and she starts poking holes in them, and she licks on them and stuff. Do you guys remember that? She was caught on CCTV just being an absolute, almost a little bit of a douche canoe, quite honestly, just being really, really mean. And then on top of that, she started talking about how it was disgusting and how she hated America. Now, TMZ, I believe, are the ones that broke that story, and I remember everybody absolutely losing their minds about it. And of course, Ariana, her PR team, they get to work and they start doing just a little bit of damage control, and Ariana releases a statement saying, and I quote, "I am extremely proud to be an American, and I've always made it clear that I love my country. As an advocate for healthy eating," she says, "food is very important to me, and I sometimes get upset by how freely we as Americans eat and consume things without giving any thought to the consequences that it has on our health and society as a whole." Now, baby girl, if sweets and unhealthy food bothers you so badly, what are you doing in a donut shop? Why walk in to the store in the first place if it's going to bother you so badly? Now, I'm pretty sure my reaction is the same reaction the general populace had as well. Nobody was buying her excuses. However, because she was still fairly young, people just kind of let it go. Like I said, people make mistakes. Teenagers, young adults do stupid things all the time, so people just let it go. But I remembered that because even in her statement, even in her apology to the press, what she said came off as extremely fat-phobic. And that's not really a word I like to kind of throw around because I just don't do that. But like, why blame it on your hatred of calories? Baby, don't go into the store in the first place. Easy fix. Then there was the drama of her backing out of her performance for the 2019 Grammys. This was when she got a little bit of a reputation as a diva. She pulled out of that performance because she was having like creative differences with the production team. And she was just like, if I can't have my way, I'm just not going to do it. After that, you guys remember Jeanette McCurdy? I remember her. They had a series on Nickelodeon called Sam and Cat. And it's where they were like these high school babysitters, and it was a super cute show. I watched it a little bit when I was younger. And again, she played Cat Valentine. She had the red hair. She kind of like did her thing. However, when Jeanette came out and kind of like outed how differently Jeanette was treated as opposed to how they treated Ariana, she said that there was so much unfair treatment and that Ariana got paid more and that Ariana just was in general not a nice person to work with. And it was just a big kerfuffle. Now, of course, Ariana came out with her own statement, said that of course that wasn't true, said that she advocated for Jeanette and that just nobody would listen to her, this, that, and the other thing. It was a big deal. But I think that was our very first look into how Ariana kind of acts behind the scenes. Because when you think about it, we only know about these celebrities what they choose to let us know. We only know what they choose to show us. So we think we have a read on a certain celebrity. They could be genuinely awful people and we would have no idea about it. It's like that whole Ellen DeGeneres debacle. Do you guys remember that one? That happened not too long ago. So this is kind of when people started to get just a tiny glimpse into the real Ariana. Though I think most of her recent controversies really center around Ariana's romantic choices and romantic partners. This last controversy was a really, really big one. She has garnered quite the reputation as both a man-eater and quite recently a homewrecker as well. Is it true though? Like, what's the real story behind that? She doesn't seem to really have a type per se. She has dated everyone from like backup dancers to musicians to she's even dated like a YouTuber before. So she really, in her most recent Ethan Slater, like she doesn't really seem to have a type. Just like if she's attracted, she's attracted. Now, her very first public relationship, baby Ariana's very first public relationship, was with her co-star Graham Phillips. Now, they met in 2008 while working together on the Broadway musical 13. She was a baby at this time. I think she was only around 15 or 16 years old. But she was completely and totally smitten with Graham. They had a super adorable relationship, and they stayed together for actually quite a while. They dated from 2008 till 2011, so about 3 years. But their relationship ended very amicably, and they both went on and did their own thing, though they are still close. They're not close, but they're still friends to this point. Graham actually stood up for her throughout that whole donut debacle. People call it Donut Gate. But he actually stood up for her and said that that wasn't a genuine look into her real character. He said she must have just been having an off day or something. Very shortly after splitting up with Mr. Graham, she entered into relationship number 2. Now, relationship number 2 was with a backup dancer that she met on the set of Victorious, and his name was Jordan Vicomi. They dated for a little bit under a year, then they broke up in February of 2012. In this instance, it was Jordan that walked away from Ariana. So this is kind of like the first time that she's kind of been heartbroken. But unfortunately, we don't know what the true tea on that whole situation is because it was so long ago and she wasn't ginormously famous like she is now. So we'll just have to like speculate on that one. Now, Ariana may have been heartbroken, but this did not slow her down in the slightest. She very quickly moved on to relationship number 3 with Australian YouTuber Jai Brooks. Jai was completely and totally smitten. He was just absolutely mind-boggled by Miss Ariana. They tried to keep their relationship quiet, especially in the beginning, but after word got out, they would go on each other's streams, because back then Ariana was streaming quite a bit on YouTube. She had a massive YouTube following. They would stream together. They would show up on each other's channels, things like that. They posted mushy posts on Instagram continuously, like it was a big thing. And as smitten with each other as they both appeared to be, and as happy and, fantastic as the relationship appeared to be going, it seems like Jordan was just a little bit blindsided when they did eventually break up. They were together from late 2012 to 2014, and this would be the first breakup where infidelity was mentioned. Now, the infidelity took part on Ariana's side, definitely not Jai's. Like I said, he was completely and totally smitten with this woman, so he wouldn't have done anything to jeopardize that relationship. However, they were in a long-distance relationship. You have Jai, who is in Australia, and you have Ariana, who is back and forth between LA and New York. She's in the United States. They're a long ways apart, and that leaves a lot of room for bad things to happen. Following their split, Jai absolutely blasted Ariana on Twitter. He did a very long, very detailed post on what was actually going on, and of course I couldn't find the entire tweet, but I did find a good healthy excerpt of it. He said, "Yes, I was cheated on. Yes, it does suck. Yes, I was left for another man. Nathan may be a top bloke and a super sweet person, but what he did was completely wrong. He interfered with my life and did not respect my relationship. His actions have caused me to not be able to sleep at night and to not see the world as the beautiful place I once did. Nathan, if you read this, when you hold her hand, you better hold it tight because you are holding my world. I do wish you two happiness and a good life, and I hope everything works out." Y'all, these were the words of a completely heartbroken little boy. Now again, they're still pretty young at this point in time. I think they're only around 19 or 20 years old, We all remember how strong feelings are at that age. But because, he'd been cheated on, it was like a really, really big deal. Now, of course, Ariana, she denied. She denied that the cheating ever happened, that they had just kind of grown apart, that the distance was too much to handle, and that the relationship just didn't work out. She also came out with her own statement and said, "I feel like how Jai handled it was a bit unexpected. But at the end of the day, my family, my friends, and my true fans know the type of person that I am. These kinds of accusations being thrown at me are completely false. More than anything, they're just hurtful and shocking." Now, whether or not they were fooling around while Ariana was still with Jai, this statement that she released would have been just a little bit more believable if she hadn't have come out just a few days later and been in a relationship with none other than Nathan Sykes. They began openly dating very shortly after this whole thing became public, and this kind of leads her in to romance number 4. Nathan Sykes was a part of, you remember the group, the boy band, The Wanted? I believe he was part of that group, so he was a fellow musician just like her. I guess they had a little bit more common. The biggest thing was that they were definitely closer. Now, the thing about it is she destroyed her relationship with Jai to have this relationship with Nathan, and it only lasted like 4 months. They were together long enough to collaborate on a song for one of her albums called Almost Is Never Enough, and then they even linked up a little bit later to collaborate again for one of his singles called Over and Over Again. But like I said, they only dated for about 4 months and then parted ways. And then again, she jumped right back into another relationship. And this leads us to her relationship with Big Sean. Now, romance number 5 with Mr. Big Sean is the first relationship where Ariana's taste in men became just a tiny bit controversial. It's also the first instance where timelines get a little bit blurry. Now, at the point where Big Sean and Ariana kind of hook up, at this point in time, Big Sean is actually engaged to a woman named Naya Rivera. So he had met Naya, they had dated for a little while, and eventually gotten engaged, and they were in a long-term, serious, committed, monogamous relationship, right? Like, they're engaged to be married. Now, at this point, Big Sean is working with Ariana. They're in the studio together. Of course, they're spending quite a bit of time together as well, working on music. I think they're collaborating on a couple of different songs at that point. And of course, it's the same song and dance that's been going on in Hollywood for absolute eons, right? They spend a ton of time together and attraction starts to grow, and you have the choice whether to act on it or not. They decided that they very much wanted to act on it. So Big Sean goes home and he breaks things off. He ends his engagement with Naya. Now, Big Sean says that he ended his engagement because Naya got super controlling and a little bit violent with him. He was just done dealing with her. However, both Big Sean and Ariana were adamant that things never got physical between them until he ended his relationship with Naya. The paparazzi says something different because, of course, she's just not very good at hiding what's going on or hiding what she's doing. I guess because she's so famous, just really not an option. They were spotted actually backstage at the VMAs in August of 2014. They were holding hands. They were being very touchy-feely. They were canoodling, basically. And at that point, he was either still engaged or had just ended his engagement with Naya. Then, of course, you have Naya, who is completely blindsided by the ending of her engagement. Like, she's well and truly in love with this man, and all of a sudden he just drops her like a bad habit. And then a couple days later, he's in the tabloids hooking up with Ariana Grande. Like, it's got to be a pretty big blow to your self-confidence and just your ego in general. Now, of course, they continued to dodge the paparazzi and dodge any questions about if they were actually in a relationship or not for a couple of months after Big Sean ended his engagement, and then they eventually came out and confirmed that they were indeed in a relationship. They did that in October of 2014. Now, they made their debut as a couple at the Grammy Awards in February of 2015, just to split up a few months later in April. All in all, they dated for about 9 months publicly, though again, we don't know how long they were messing around with each other in private before the paparazzi caught them for the first time. Now, it was Big Sean that walked away from Ariana in this instance. He said he couldn't handle her immaturity anymore, and he didn't like that she would not make time for their relationship, and he said that he just didn't feel like she was a priority to him. He did exactly the same thing to Naya and then got a taste of his own medicine. In my opinion, it seems to me that the newness of her relationship with Big Sean kind of wore off, and she felt like she had already kind of like conquered that situation, so she got bored and she just moved on. Now, this woman's rebound time is infinitesimal. It is almost non-existent. Very quickly thereafter, she jumped into relationship number 6. Relationship number 6 was with yet another backup dancer, this time a man by the name of Ricky Alvarez. And she was with Ricky during the time of the whole donut debacle, and he actually supported her throughout that whole thing, stood up for her, stood right beside her in that donut shop, and laughed with her while she destroyed those donuts that people paid for and ate later on. By the way, so freaking disgusting. Anyway, they dated for a little bit over a year, and eventually she got bored with him as well and walked away. Now, she said they broke up because she just wanted to, in her words and quotes, she just wanted to do her own thing for a little while. Y'all, her own thing must have meant manhunting, because not long after that, she jumped into relationship number 7, and this was the big one. This one was with Mac Miller. Her and Mac had initially started out as friends, and again, they met in the studio. They had collaborated to do a couple of songs. We all remember the song they did together in that video. Super, you could feel the chemistry in it. That music video was so good. Very quickly thereafter, they became a couple. Now, unfortunately, Mac had some serious problems. He is still to date my favorite rapper of all time. Freaking loved him. I believe his real name was Malcolm Miller, and he was just an absolute doll baby. However, he had some serious substance abuse issues, and this is ultimately what led to their breakup. In August of 2016, they were caught kissing while out on a romantic sushi date in Encino, California. They got serious pretty quickly, and he wrote a song called Cinderella. Now, people say that his whole last album was written about her. Ariana says that the only song on that entire album that is actually written for her is the single Cinderella. However, this is when things get really difficult in their relationship. Mac's substance abuse issues kind of come to a head a little bit, and he does a little bit of a stint in rehab. He goes to a rehabilitation center, and Ariana sticks with him throughout the entire thing. She goes and she visits him as often as she can, and she does indeed try to be as supportive as she can possibly be. However, the minute he gets back out and gets freedom again, she starts using substances again almost instantly, and she gets to a point where she just can't handle it anymore, and she has to walk away. In May of 2018, they split for good. Ariana said that she loved him. I believe in her way, Ariana loved Mac as much as she's capable of loving another human being. I genuinely believe that they were as close to soulmates as they could be. Just wrong place, wrong time, and just the whole surroundings and their circumstances just really got in between them. Unfortunately, Ariana walks away from Mac, and he no longer has anybody who's kind of holding him back, right? Trying to make sure that he's not doing stupid stuff on the daily, and he kind of spirals a little bit. And what ends up happening is he accidentally overdoses and he passes not long, about 4 months after Ariana and him break up. Passed away at the age of 26 at his California home. And of course, both Max and Ariana's fans blamed her for this. They said that the reason that he did it was because she left and he was heartbroken, and that it was her responsibility. She was the one who was responsible for, for his death, essentially. Now, Ariana clapped back. She clapped back and she said that it wasn't her job to be his mother. She cannot be responsible for she wasn't responsible for his addictions, right? Like, that was a choice that he made, and she tried to help him, and he just wasn't having it. Y'all, it does not help though that at the time of Max passing, she was knee deep in her relationship with none other than Pete Davidson. That leads us into relationship number 8 with Pete Davidson. Now, the same month that Ariana broke up with Mac, she was seen out for the first time with Pete. Like I said, that rebound time is just non-existent. Now, when they started their relationship, they hadn't just met, they had been acquaintances for a couple of years by that point. Now, she had known Pete since 2014. They had been on SNL a couple of times together, but their relationship didn't turn romantic until 2018. Now, they were seen together for the first time. It was the first time people thought, oh my gosh, is this actually a thing? When they were caught backstage at the Billboard Music Awards, and they were seen again kissing and making out and canoodling, just a whole lot of PDA. Their relationship progressed so fast. Like, there was no rhyme or reason to Ariana's relationship with Pete Davidson. I think it was completely and totally fueled by, I don't even know what, because it just didn't make sense, right? I remember everybody was so totally baffled by her relationship. Like, how in the heck did Ariana Grande end up with Pete Davidson? Y'all, there's a reason for it, but we'll get to it in just a second. So they enter into this relationship, and it just goes so unspeakably fast, right? There's, like I said, there is literally no reason to it at all. A month into dating, Pete gets freaking Ariana's initials tattooed onto his hand, and then he also gets her little bunny ear mask logo tattooed onto behind his ear on his neck. Not long after that, Ariana gets Pete Davidson's his father's name was Scott, and Pete's father was a firefighter in New York City and unfortunately lost his life during the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. So Ariana ends up getting Pete's father's badge number tattooed on the top of her foot. After only a few weeks of dating, Pete popped the question with a $93,000 ring. It was a pear-shaped diamond engagement ring. He did that on June 11th. We're spotted out for the first time in May 20th to be exact. So a little bit less than a month, and they're already engaged. It's kind of freaking insane, right? And of course, the logical next step, the next logical progression of the relationship is for them to move in together. So what do? They buy an apartment in New York City and they move in together. Y'all, they don't even hardly know each other at this point, but they're completely into, they're like all in. They announced the engagement everywhere. They went on like the Late Show with Jimmy Fallon, a bunch of like talk shows and stuff, and they're just kind of like screaming to the rooftops how much in love they are, how amazing their relationship is. And again, everybody is just baffled. Like, what in the world is going on? And they are staunchly defending their relationship as well. Like, they know, like, they're grown, they know exactly what they're doing, and this is what they want. And they just kind of like go for it, right? Meanwhile, Mac's fans and Ariana's fans are both really, really concerned. Mac's fans are PO'd, and Ariana's fans are really concerned. At this point, Mac is not doing well. It's pretty well known that he's spiraling at this point, and Ariana is just kind of like completely ignoring the situation. She just is very much acting like she just doesn't care. So they moved in together on June 17th, and they're just kind of like, they're just enjoying the fog, because that is exactly what they are in. They are in a love fog. It is heavy and it is blinding. fast forward to September. They've been together for 4 months at this point. They're already engaged. They're already living together. And then the world finds out that Mac has passed by an accidental overdose. And the world, Ariana's world, absolutely freaking crumbles. Fans are starting to come after her, telling her that it's her fault. People are just like, everybody's playing the blame game. And she is very much the recipient of everybody's anger. And Ariana just shuts down. Now, at this point, Pete already knows that their relationship is freaking over. He actually is quoted in saying he told her, "I'll be here until you just don't want me to be here anymore." Like, he knew that he was kind of a distraction, and this was gonna like either make or break their relationship. And unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it did. Ariana shut down, and it broke their relationship. She started to pull away from Pete, and he of course just kind of had to let her go. Now, like I said, Ariana truly, I believe, truly loved Mac Miller. I believe she loved him as much as she is capable of loving another human being. And when she found out that he had passed, she did not know how to process it. She didn't know how to handle it. So she shut down. And after shutting down, she realized that her relationship with Pete wasn't what she wanted. So she, of course, ended the engagement, and they went their separate ways. The engagement, it ended fairly amicably. Like I said, Pete didn't really fight with it. He knew it was coming, so it wasn't exactly a surprise to him. And Pete really got the best end of that deal, quite honestly, because it made him so famous. He was absolutely everywhere afterwards, because people were just like, what in the world? What does he have that made Ariana say yes to him? Like, he was engaged to Ariana Grande. Like what is actually going on there? So his celebrity absolutely skyrocketed thereafter. And then people were just kind of looking at Ariana like, what is going on with you? And then in July of 2019, about 9 months after her and Pete had been split up, she did another interview, and she was asked what was going through her mind when she was going through that very whirlwind, super fast relationship, right? And she said, "I met Pete, and he was such an amazing distraction. After my breakup with Mac, our relationship was frivolous and fun and insane, but highly unrealistic. I loved him, but I didn't know him." As for Pete, again, after all of that had gone down, after they heard about Mac's passing, he knew that it was over. He went on and said, "That was really a horrible situation, and I can't imagine what that was like for her. All I do know is that she really loved the crap out of Mac, and that wasn't her just putting on a show. He watched her crumble, and you can't crumble like that and not still be in love with that person, right? She was still very much in love with Mac, and Pete knew. Like, there was no way she could be in love with Pete when she was still in love with Mac. At that point, he knew he was nothing but a rebound, nothing but a distraction." And that makes me feel really bad for Pete, because I remember he was pretty down after they broke up. Like, he didn't fight it, and he never really spoke publicly about her. But, everybody kind of saw he deteriorated a little bit after they broke up, and it must have been really hard for him, because while he was nothing but a rebound to her, I feel like Pete was genuinely in love with Ariana. And then when they split, everything, like, he thought all of his dreams were coming true, and then everything just kind of got yoinked away from him in one go, and it must have been really, really hard to just kind of like digest. Now, 10 months after she broke up with Pete is when the next rumor of her being in a relationship surfaced. Now, 10 months is the longest she's taken between any relationship since she's started dating. So I think that's definitely something to note there. She took a minute. She took some time after breaking up with Pete to even think about being in another relationship. So I think she took that 9 months, I guess. She took that 9-10 months to really just heal and kind of like figure out what she was doing and what she wanted. And then again, she embarks on another relationship. Relationship number 9 was with yet another musician, another mutual. She again was in the recording studio. They were making a collaboration, and she started a relationship with a rapper named Mikey Foster. Now, I don't really know who this guy is, but they had a very, very short, very brief, little bit kind of like a love affair. They started working together, and again, one thing leads to another, and they became romantically involved. Now, they worked on Ariana's song Boyfriend together, and even his band, Mikey's band, Social House, I believe they went on tour together. So during the whole tour, they're kind of like, they're just in close proximity, so it's easy. So they're in a relationship. As soon as the tour was over and the proximity wasn't forced anymore, they kind of started falling apart and drifting apart. However, Ariana never confirmed this relationship. It was actually Ariana's brother, Frankie, who was the one to confirm to the media that they were actually a pair. He was asked a question on a red carpet. He was like, oh yeah, he's a really nice guy. They're in a relationship, something like that. And then, of course, Ariana must not have liked that he said anything about it, because just a few days later, he tried to backtrack on Instagram and say something about them being just really good friends. But the world already knew what was up. They were seen in February of 2020 holding hands and kissing at Disneyland, but then that same month, actually just a few days later, they were broken up and Ariana was single yet again. They had dated for just a little bit over 6 months, but then it was over and done with. And then it was time for Ariana to get into another serious relationship. This relationship, number 10, is her first marriage, and this is when she met Dalton Gomez. Now, to date, Dalton Gomez has been the only man to get Miss Ariana down the aisle. I guess for her, the 10th time was the charm. Dalton and Ariana first linked up in March of 2020, just 1 month after her split from Mikey. They were spotted kissing at a bar. They publicly announced their relationship 2 months later in May, with a joint appearance in the music video for Stuck With You. Again, always tied back to the music. Very similarly to her relationship with Pete, this new relationship moved incredibly quickly. And by December, after about 9 months of dating, they announced that they were engaged. Now, Dalton, you might not know who he is because he is the first person she's ever dated that hasn't been some kind of celebrity or in the entertainment industry. Dalton is actually a luxury real estate agent, and they actually met because Dalton was trying to sell her a house. Now, Ariana was actually the one to pursue Dalton. She had seen him, and she had asked her team to set up a meeting between her and Dalton so that they could talk one-on-one in person. Of course, that happens, and they're both instantly attracted, and the ball starts just rolling really, really quickly. Before you know it, they're engaged, right? She said Dalton was incredibly good looking, he was charismatic, he was successful, and Ariana actually fell for Dalton really quickly and really, really hard. Dalton proposed to Ariana with a very unique custom ring featuring an oval cut diamond set diagonally against a pearl. And he said that the pearl had a lot of sentimental significance for Ariana, so really wanted to make sure that he included the pearl in the wedding ring. And it took him 6 weeks to select the perfect diamond, and he just put a lot of time and effort and money, of course, into this engagement ring, and she wore it with absolute pride. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to keep them married. Now, sticking to the whole down low theme of their relationship thus far, they got married in a very teeny tiny little wedding. Y'all, nobody even knew what was going on. The tabloids didn't know that they were getting married. None of that. They got married in a very teeny tiny little ceremony. I think there were only like 20 people, 20 guests present, and it was over and done with before the media even knew what had happened. And after the wedding, things kind of like are perfect for them for a little while. Ariana continues to work, but they go on their honeymoon. They enjoy newlywed bliss for a little while. But again, I think Ariana's problem is she she just gets bored. She just gets bored so quickly. Unfortunately, their wedded bliss would not last. By the beginning of 2023, they had already decided that they were headed for a divorce. They had signed a prenup. Well, Dalton had signed a prenup with Ariana before they even got married. And per the prenup, the divorce settlement went a little something like this. So Ariana agreed to pay Dalton $1,250,000, though he wasn't entitled to anything after that, or he wasn't entitled to spousal support. So the $1,250,000 was a one-time lump sum payment that was non-taxable. And then also he was entitled to half of the proceeds from the sale of their house together. But then after that, any financial obligation she had to Dalton was absolutely over. All in all, the divorce was fairly amicable. It went about as well as a divorce could go. And of course, it was Ariana that initiated the divorce. It was not Dalton that walked away from Ariana. And the reason Ariana walks away from Dalton is because she met somebody else that she liked just a little bit more. And this is where the whole big drama that really inspired today's video kind of comes into play. Because in December of 2022, Ariana starts working on a movie called Wicked. It is an adaptation of a Broadway play, and it's got something to do about the Wicked Witch of the West, and it's kind of like a spin-off of The Wizard of Oz. So Ariana gets booked, she gets cast in this movie, and she begins working with a man by the name of Ethan Slater. And this is just where everything starts to take a big bad turn for the absolute worst. Ariana's most recent relationship number 11, is by far her most controversial. During the end of her marriage to Dalton, Ariana began working on the film adaptation of the Broadway play Wicked in December of 2022. She flew to the UK to film, and while her and Dalton were trying to work things out, the space between them wasn't helping things at all. And again, the more distance you have between you and your partner, the more space there is for bad things to happen. And in this case, very, very bad things happened. Upon arrival on set, Ariana met Ethan Slater. Well, she had met him a little bit beforehand. Actually, we're gonna get to it, y'all. There's a lot that actually goes on to this whole debacle. She starts working with Ethan Slater. They start spending a ton of time together, and before you know it, they're just, I mean, the same thing freaking happens, right? There's an attraction there, and they begin to act on it. At this time of them starting to work together, they're both married. They're both in long-term committed monogamous relationships. You have Ariana, who is married to Dalton, and then you have Ethan, who is married to his high school sweetheart, Lily J. Not only that, they had just recently had a baby. Like, this baby is under a year old, that kind of baby. So, and Ariana knows this, right? She knows that this man is married. She knows that he's just had a baby, and it just didn't matter, apparently. In November of 2022, Ethan and his wife celebrated 10 years together. And Ethan goes on Instagram, and he makes this big long post about how thankful he is for his wife and what an amazing wife and mother she is. And it's just like this big long heartfelt post about what a lucky man he is to have such a wonderful woman in his life, right? Y'all, can you believe that Ariana, she likes this freaking post, and by this point, they're already having an affair. Like, they're already, like, it's already begun. Right? In November of 2022, Ethan and his wife celebrated 10 years together, right? So he goes on Instagram, he writes this big long post about how lucky he is to have such a wonderful wife and mother, how amazing she is with their new daughter, and just going on and on about how lucky he is to have this woman in his life, okay? 1 month later, they begin working on the film, and almost instantly, he begins his affair with Ariana Grande. Y'all, can you believe that Ariana actually goes on to Ethan's Instagram and she likes the anniversary post that Ethan makes for his wife? 3 months later, in March of 2023, both Ethan and Ariana attended an Oscar party. And at this Oscar party is when the general public get their first kind of inkling that something is going on between the two of them, because again, they are spotted doing some serious PDA. And y'all, I can't help but think it is so trashy and so classless to be so unbothered by how their actions are going to affect anybody else. Like they're in public, they're at an Oscars party, there is media there, all kinds of things, all kinds of people are there, and they're just kind of like groping on each other in the middle of this party and not caring who sees it. Not only that, but 2 months later, after the Oscars party, Ethan posts yet another super mushy post about his wife. This time it is a heartfelt Mother's Day tribute to his wife. And again, he talks about how special she is and how much he loves her and how lucky he is to have her in his life. And again, Ariana likes the freaking post. It's almost like, it's so backhanded and so nasty. It's like almost intentionally hurtful, right? Because at this point, they're actively having an affair. They are actively in a relationship, and Ethan is going on Instagram and he's writing these, or is it Instagram or Twitter? I think it's Instagram. And he's writing these heartfelt posts about this woman who is absolutely being done wrong and is completely in the dark about it. Right? By July of 2023, Ariana and Dalton have publicly separated. So Ariana is officially single, even though she's not divorced yet. Y'all, when I tell you 3 freaking days later, 3 days later, on July 20th, 2023, it's confirmed that Ethan and Ariana are in a relationship. At this point, nothing has been said about a separation between Ethan and Lily J. No documentation has been filed. There is no formal separation. There's no formal divorce proclamation. There's nothing. At this point, Lily J is completely and totally in the dark about anything that's going on. And then 3 days after Ariana is legally separated from her husband, she comes out and her and Ethan are in a relationship. It is then brought to light that just 2 days before both Ethan and Ariana went public with their relationship, Ethan sat Lily J down and demanded a divorce. Basically told her that he was having an affair with Ariana, that he was done with her, and that their relationship was over. Mind you, this woman is at home taking care of the child that he just fathered, okay? And it's just, I feel so bad for this woman. I'm angry because I put myself in her shoes and I would be so livid. I would be so hurt and so angry and so embarrassed. It's just unfathomable to me how that woman must have been feeling. Lily J is completely and totally blindsided, but she acts with such class and with such dignity because she doesn't immediately go to the media. She keeps silent, and she really just keeps her wits about her. She really thinks about what's going on. She does eventually go to the press and tell them that she was completely blindsided. She had no idea what was going on, and that of course she's utterly heartbroken at how Ethan could have done this to her. Right now, Ariana is completely and totally there's no remorse. There is no remorse in this woman at all. 5 days after Ethan and Ariana go public, Ethan goes to the courthouse and he files documentation to legally apply for a divorce from Lily J. They must have known what they were doing, how horrible it was. They just didn't care. I said earlier in the video that I think Ariana's give a crap has genuinely busted, and it has genuinely busted, because I don't know how anyone could do that to another human being and not feel at least a little bit bad about it. But when people started to really dig in to what was really going on with the situation, to find out that Ariana had liked the posts that Ethan had made as tribute to his wife, to find out that the entirety of their time filming the movie Wicked, they were on set making out, holding hands, like they didn't try to hide their affair, not one time. Nobody on set, nobody on the Wicked set, like, there was no doubt that they were having an active affair during the filming of the movie. And it seems to me like Lily was the last one to find out, and that's absolutely heartbreaking. Ethan had no care for his wife, no care for his newborn daughter, and Ariana had absolutely no care for the multiple lives that she just ruined. Because why? For what reason? You have Ariana, like I said, who has access to absolutely anything and everything in the world that she could ever want. And I just don't understand why what she wanted had to be someone else's father and someone else's husband. Eventually, when Lily J did make a statement, I don't know if she made a statement or if she wrote a post, but eventually she talked about the fact that her and Ethan had been on multiple double dates with Ariana and Dalton, how Lily had invited Ariana into their home and Ariana had come and held and played with their baby. I don't understand how Ariana could have entered this woman's home, entered her sanctuary, knowing that she had every intention of stealing her husband, stealing her happiness, and held this woman's child. I cannot begin to imagine the unfathomable pain that that woman must be in at this point in time. And then to make a bad situation worse, Ariana's acknowledgement of the situation is in January. She drops her new single, Yes and it is a complete and total just slap in the face. Isn't sorry. She is completely unapologetic about the entire situation. And y'all, I have to be very, very honest right now. I don't know that I will ever support Ariana Grande again. I am so disgusted by her right now and the way that she has handled this situation. And I understand love is love and you are welcome to love whomever you want. Even if they had wanted to be together, there was a better way to handle this situation. I think that they handled it in a way as to cause the most carnage and the most pain possible. And I can neither respect nor support a woman who is comfortable doing that. Y'all, I don't know. I would love to know how you guys feel about it in the comments below. This one was a tough one. As someone who really does love her music, it's really, really difficult to distinguish or to separate the artist from the product. And right now, the whole thing just leaves a really, really bad taste in my mouth. Again, I'd love to know how you guys feel about it in the comments. That is it for this week's True Love Tuesday. This is the finished look. Do we like it? Do we love it? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, as always, I am so, so grateful that you decided to come and hang out with me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up before you leave. Subscribe if you have not already. As always, no filters, no fancy lighting. It is just me sitting in front of my camera telling you guys an epic love story, hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.